turn any website into AI training data in seconds. Because what you see here is 100 jobs and I got them all into a structured CSV within 3 minutes. And you're probably still copy and pasting, whereas I've just trained an AI agent to do it all for me. And the best part of it, it's completely free. And you don't need any code, there's no scraper setup, there's no pagination logic. Google's Antigravity built this entire workflow for me. It hit the site, it could have scraped 4,000 job listings, but I'm in a hurry, I haven't got 6 hours to record a video, so I set it to scrape 100 job listings. It extracted the rows, the structured data, it corrected itself when the data failed, and it handed me a clean spreadsheet. And this works because of one MCP server, and it's called Firecrawl.dev. It's literally one line of setup. After that, Google's Antigravity decides which tool to use. It can scrape, it can map, it can crawl, extract, screenshot, you name it. You describe the outcome, it figures out the sequence, and I'll show you the exact agent workflow that turned a messy job board into a Google Sheets ready file. And if you're somebody who's unemployed right now, this is your lucky day, because strap yourselves in, watch this video. You're probably gonna need to rewatch it, because by the end of it, I'm gonna make sure that you find a job. Most people think that web scraping requires building a pipeline, but in reality, you only need one terminal command. Welcome to Firecrawl.dev. I absolutely love this website, this scraping solution. I use it for a lot of projects, both for myself and my clients. And as the name suggests, you can turn any website into LLM ready data. Now, there's two ways to use this. The first way is the manual way, and you can paste in any website into where it says example.com. You can scrape it, you can search it, you can build an AI agent that gathers data whenever it's live on the website. You can map it, you can crawl it, and then you hit submit. This is a Y Combinator backed project. It's completely free to get started. But best of all, I've actually got an MCP server that we can call inside of Google's Antigravity, which means that we can build an agent, we can use an agentic workflow to automate the entire process. I'm not kidding, folks. Once you hit play on this system, on this workflow, you can literally go and make lunch, you can go for a nap, and this agent will take care of it for you. So what we specifically need, because I want to automate this entire workflow, is we're going to need the MCP server. Now, Google's Antigravity doesn't have access to the MCP, so we have to manually install that. So head over to the Firecrawl.dev documents and head over to where it says MCP. And there's a few places you can install this. So if you're using Cursor, go ahead and install it on Cursor. You can install it on Windsurf. There's a few places, platforms that it supports. But the one I'm going to use it on is Google's Antigravity. For me, this is the best agentic builder on the planet bar none. I haven't actually tested Claude Code yet, but I'm firmly in Google's camp. And I believe it's only a matter of time before Google owns this entire space. And what you want to do is you want to copy this JSON code. Now, the most important part of this is going to be your API key, because we're going to run it through Firecrawl.dev. So what happens is the MCP is going to connect Firecrawl from Google's Antigravity. The AI will just communicate each other, and then you just prompt it like a normal human being. That's about it. And to get your API key, just sign up for Firecrawl. They give you something like 1,000 free credits. So literally, there's nothing stopping you from doing this. Head over to where it says API keys at the bottom here, and then you can create an API key. Now, I've already got one from an N10 project I was doing a few months back, so I'm just going to use that one. If you want to create a new project, just click on create here, give it a name, and then you create the key. It's as simple as that. Once you have all of that, it's time to head over to Google's Antigravity. And if you've never used Antigravity before, head over to antigravity.google, download their Agentic IDE. That just means that you can build agentic workflows directly on your machine. It's not cloud hosted, although you can cloud host it, and I will record a video of that in the future. But for right now, you want to download it on your Mac OS or your Windows machine. I'm using a Mac OS, so I'm going to do this through the Mac, but the process is exactly the same on a Windows machine. And the last thing you need before we jump into Google's Antigravity is obviously the scraping. What do you want to scrape? Now, this can be anything you want it to be. But for this example, I'm going to use job listings on dailyremote.com. And the reason for that is you can actually scrape the website. It's not behind Cloudflare or any type of firewall. So I don't actually need the agent to sign in. And there's something like 4,800 jobs on here. So I'm searching for marketing, and these are the jobs that I like the look of. Now, remember there's 4,800. So a scrape like that is going to take some time, which is why I only limited it down to 100 jobs, which is what I showed you here. It's at 101 because obviously row 1 is the title, cat company, and URL. So once you know what job you have, just grab the URL, because it's going to be a search string based on whatever keyword job title you're searching for. That's what we're going to plug into Google's Antigravity. So let's just dive right in. So this is Google's Antigravity. This is an agentic workflow builder. It looks complicated, but honestly, everything is done through prompting. And I'm going to show you exactly how you're going to set this up. So the first thing you're going to do is head over to where it says MCP servers. You're going to go to manage MCP servers. And then inside of this MCP underscore config.json file, you're going to paste in the Firecrawl JSON code that you took from the Firecrawl documentation website. This is where your API key goes. You don't need to steal mine. They give you 1,000 free credits, but I'm going to make sure that I reset it after this video. Once it's done, hit save. You can go to file save, or you can hit command control save depending on what machine you're on. And then you head over back to agent. So now that we have the MCP installed, it just means that your Antigravity agent can talk to Firecrawl in the MCP protocol, which means they have a common language. Just like I'm talking to you in the English language, which most of you understand. It's the same for agentic builders. It's the same for third-party platforms. Now, before you run the prompt and before I show you, there's a couple of things you need to do. The first is I've given it an Antigravity scraper hub, and that's just an empty file, which means markdown, and it's just a bunch of instructions for your agents. Now, this is the same template. Doesn't matter which platform you use, whether it's Cursor, whether it's Code, Antigravity, or any other agentic builder, it will always use a markdown template. And so it's just a bunch of instructions. So I've said it, I mean, it's called Scraper Hub. You can call it whatever you want, doesn't really matter. And I've told it what the scraping tasks are, right? So it's basically like a checklist. Now for this one, I've scraped the marketing URL on daily remote. This is going to contain the results or the destination for whatever you're trying to scrape. And I haven't built any of this. I literally prompted my agent to do it for me. So I literally just told it, create an anti-gravity scraper hub for the Firecrawl MCP scraper. And remember, it's an agentic builder, which means it can go out there, go to the internet, they can do deep research, and they can create this file for you. Or you can even paste in the Firecrawl.dev documentation, best practices, and it'll do it for you. So it's got some scraping instructions and schemas, some default schemas, and this is just how the scraper works. It's got the active tool. So remember I told you that it can scrape in core, map, or extract. Depending on the type of job that I'm giving it, the agent will decide what scraper to use. Because it's agentic, it should think for itself. And then it's given us some quick tips. The second file that I've actually created, which is another .md file for Markdown, is a Firecrawl scraping best practices. Again, I found this by just telling the agent to create it. It will go out to the internet, or research the latest best practices. That can be from Reddit, that could be from the Firecrawl's documentation, it can be from anywhere. I don't really care. The point is, the agentic builder should know what the best practices are. It knows which endpoint it needs to select based on the job and the job specification, how to structure data extraction, which is key because most data or web scrapers extract really messy data. It looks ugly. So I want to make sure that I've got a structure, a template that my agentic builder inside of Antigravity can use. It's got natural language versus schema. It's got performance and optimization, which is always a good idea, and how to handle rate limits, which is a great piece of best practice because believe it or not, Firecrawl does have a rate limit because otherwise you could just scrape forever, trillions of gigs of data, and it would just kill their servers, right? If all of us did that all over the world, the service would just die. So they need to enforce some rate limits just so that we can all scrape all the time whenever we want. And it's got some ethical scraping, which by the way, you can actually edit if you wanted to. If you're not, if you wanted to do some non-ethical stuff, I'm not going to discuss that on this video, but honestly, it's not that hard if you want to do it. Once you have these two files created, it's time to scrape the website. And this is the prompt you use, something like this or variation of this. So make a note of it, and it's basically scrape this site using the Firecrawl MCP. Now, the reason I mentioned Firecrawl MCP, even though it sounds a bit obvious, is that Antigravity, unlike other agentic builders, has access to Chrome because it's all owned by Google. So initially what it was trying to do was it was actually opening up a Chrome browser instance, and it was basically using that to try and find information, which it can do by the way, but it's going to take much longer. It's also using my IP address, which I don't want it to do. That's why I wanted to use a third-party scraper because I'm offshoring, I'm delegating all the messy stuff with proxies, with IP addresses, and getting banned. So then it's now going through the agentic workflow, and I forgot to mention that I only wanted to scrape 100 jobs because there's something like 4,800 jobs just for marketing on dailyremote.com. Then I stopped it and I gave it a prompt of scrape 100 jobs only because 4,800 is going to take a couple hours. And then it's going to basically trying to navigate to the first page, and you can see here that it actually opened up a browser, which I didn't want it to do. At which point I prompted it again to say use the MCP, not the browser. Honestly, I thought this was going to be obvious because Google has a large context window, which means that it has memory. You can see past conversations. It knows that I've asked it to install the Firecrawl MCP, but in this instance, it didn't pick it up. So then I just mentioned it with a quick prompt. After that, it was checking the command status again. Now it's going through all the pages. So page 1 is scrape 30 jobs. Page 2 is scrape 30 jobs. Page 3, 30, and so on and so forth until it got to 100 jobs scrape. And then even without me asking it, because Google also owns the Google Sheets real estate, it basically integrated it into a Google Sheet. And you can see here, these are all the jobs that it scraped off the website. It's verifying the Google Sheet update, and then it saved it all on here. And finally, after a few minutes, it's basically updated the Antigravity scraper hub. It's formatted it into a Google Sheet. The task is called Daily Remote Marketing, and 100 marketing jobs have been successfully saved to the new Daily Remote Marketing tab in your spreadsheet. So now you have an agent that can turn any website into structured data. That's job boards, think of competitive pricing, design systems, product catalogs. You only need one MCP server, which is completely free because they give you 1,000 credits, and you only need one system prompt. I hope you can understand the power of a system like this because it's 2026. We do not need to be moving bags of sand. We have agentic workflows, agentic builders that can do this for us. We need to be smarter, and we are smarter. So let the agentic builders do all the heavy lifting for you. If you enjoyed this video, do me a solid, smash the like button, tell your friends and family, tell them all to sign up, tell them Sanj is online because I'm somebody who's dropping AI source. These are strategies I'm using for myself, for my clients, and for my private AI community. And if you got some value from this tutorial, click on the next video on screen, watch that too. I drop videos every day around about 9 a.m. Eastern time if you're in the US, so keep your notifications turned on for that. Before you go, say it with me, something magical is going to happen today. I've just given you the keys for agentic web scraping that's completely free, that's going to change your life, that's going to change your business, or help you get more clients, help you get a job, help you do whatever you need it to do. Thank you so much if you made it so far, and I'll see you when the next video drops.